Hey, here's your first video. The only thing you're really going to need is either sort of a thicker cushion or maybe a blanket that you can fold up just to help with some of the poses. This won't be too bad. We'll do a little bit of core work, but really working on just practicing a few of the regular yoga poses, and we'll see how we go. So first thing is we're just going to sit in easy pose, which is just a cross-legged position. It's not so easy though, because we need to just start to think about our positioning, our spinal alignment. So cross-legged, you can have them a little bit more open if that's more comfortable. Just resting the hands on the knees and just start to lengthen up through the spine. So if I turn sideways, you'll be able to see that I'm not hunching, sitting up nice and tall. And we just tuck the chin in slightly so that we lengthen up through the back of the neck, keeping the whole spine in line and nice and strong. Now this can sometimes cause a little bit of tension in the shoulders if you haven't done it much before. So it's just a case of building up and building up. So once you found that positioning, imagine there's a string just on the crown of your head, pulling upwards, lengthening through the spine. Gently close your eyes and start to focus on your breathing. Try and keep the pace of your breathing steady. And maybe focus on breathing in for 3 or 4 and out for the count of 3 or 4. And you can keep building up longer and longer as you practice this more. And as you keep breathing, just start to focus on where your breathing is in your body, what's happening. If you feel like it's just your chest moving, then start to try and breathe down into your tummy area also. So as you breathe in, the chest rises and then the tummy. And then as you exhale, the tummy contracts in and then the chest, expelling all the air from your lungs. So start to focus on that now. So in for 3 or 4. All the way into your tummy and exhaling. Just a couple more cycles here. If you're finding it really uncomfortable in the cross-legged position, just place the cushion or the folded blanket under your bottom, and that will just elevate the hips slightly and make it a little bit more comfortable on the legs. Well done. When you're ready, open your eyes. And we're just going to start to make some space through the chest and the ribs. So on your next inhale, just still trying to stick with that slow, long breath. Inhale the arms up to shoulder height. And as you exhale, turn them into cactus arms. This is like goalposts. This time, as you breathe in, squeeze the shoulder blades together and try and lift the chest and just lift the chin slightly, looking up at the sky. And as you exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together and curve the spine, tucking the chin. Inhale, opening back up, lift the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades. And as you exhale, squeeze the elbows together, tuck the chin, curve the spine. 2 more of these in your own breath now. Lift the chest on the inhale and squeeze and curl on the exhale. Last one. squeeze together. Well done. Bring the arms out in front, interlacing the fingers. As you breathe in again, try and pull the elbows apart, lift the chest. And as you exhale, push the hands away from you, curving the spine, tucking the chin. Inhale up, keeping that breath long and slow. And exhale it out, push the elbows away. One more, lift the chest, pull the elbows apart. And push the hands away on your exhale. Well done. Release the hands. That's great. We're going to do some shoulder rolls just to loosen up through the shoulders and the neck. So just lifting the shoulders up, back and down. And just keep doing that. Try and make the circles bigger and bigger as you go. Keeping that length through the spine, keeping that chin tucked very slightly to lengthen through the back of the neck. Well done. And change direction. And let the shoulders come to rest. We're just going to stretch through the neck a little bit now. So what I want you to do is you are going to drop your right ear to your right shoulder. And just let the head hang. Then you're going to take your left fingers to the floor and just walk them away from the body. And you feel that lengthening through the neck, and it just increases the intensity of the stretch. So if it's too much, just bring that arm back in. If you can, just keep it out there. Keeping that head heavy. If you want to increase slightly again, you can use the right hand just to lengthen. So you're not pulling your head down, you're trying to lengthen the neck. One more breath. And as you exhale, release. Let's change sides. So bring the left ear to the left shoulder. Just let the head be heavy. Then take the right hand and walk those fingers out, lengthening and deepening that stretch. Again, if you want to increase it a little bit further, just use that left hand to lengthen, not pull the head down, but lengthen through the neck. Just like you're trying to lift your ear up. Well done. One more deep breath in. And release. Now we're going to change position because you're probably starting to feel that tension through the shoulder blades just from sitting so upright for a while. So we're going to come onto an all fours or tabletop position. So when we're in tabletop, the main thing is that we've got our knees directly beneath our hips, so there should be a gap between the thighs, and the hands or the wrists should be directly beneath your shoulders. So your hands should be a little bit wider than your knees because our shoulders are wider than our hips. We're just going to continue to work through the spine. As you inhale, drop the tummy, lift the tailbone, lift the head. And as you exhale, pushing up into the cat stretch, lifting out of the shoulders, tucking the chin and the pelvis towards each other. As you breathe in, back into the cow stretch, dropping the tummy, lifting the head and the tailbone. And as you breathe out, pushing up into that cat stretch. So remember, really push away from the floor with the hands here. Keep pushing down into the ground with the palms and the tops of your feet. 2 more in your own time. So breathe in, drop the tummy. Let the hips really be the area that controls this movement. So that starts the motion. Breathing out into the cat stretch. One more cycle. Inhale, drop the tummy. And up into your cat stretch. Well done. Just release here. And come to a neutral position. So it's called tabletop so that we look like a table. So just make sure your core is nice and strong here. You're keeping that nice and tight without restricting your breathing too much. So it's a bit more of an engaged rather than fully contracted. What you're going to do is you're going to start to walk the right fingers towards the front edge of your mat. And then you're going to start to creep the left toes out behind you. Just start to feel that balance and start to stabilize. Make sure your weight's not shifting over one side or the other. And on your next inhale, lift the arm and the foot, keeping the foot in a flexed position so your toes are pointing down. Use the abs to help engage. On your next exhale, you're going to bring the elbow and the knee and squeeze them together in the middle. And then we can start to speed this up a little bit more. So inhale. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, up. Keeping those toes flexed. Squeeze on your exhale. Keep that back foot pushing into the floor to help with balance. One more. And squeeze. And release. Well done. Okay, we're going to go to the other side. So start to walk the left fingers out. The right toes come out behind you. Just find that balance so you haven't got all your weight on the knee or the arm. Try and get the weight balanced and keep your hips nice and stable. On your next inhale, really use those abdominals and the lower back to lift, keeping the foot flexed. And as you breathe out, squeezing in, contracting the abs, curving the spine. Inhale, up. You don't need to go any higher than hip and shoulder height. Squeeze in on your exhale. Inhale, up. Keep that foot flexed. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale. Last one. And squeeze. Well done. And release. Okay, we're going to go into Balasana, which is child's pose. It's a really relaxing and therapeutic position. So you're going to bring your toes together. Open the knees slightly wider than hip width. You're going to sit back onto your heels. And then you're just slowly going to bring the hands forward until your head can hopefully rest on the floor. Don't worry if it can't. You can use a cushion or a blanket to rest your head if you can't quite get down onto the ground. And now start to focus on your breathing again, trying to breathe into the back rib area, expanding the chest, and even into the lower back, because we're squashing our tummy a little bit here, so it's very hard to breathe into the tummy, but we can breathe into that lower back area. So really try and expand sideways and through the back. Now if you're finding this a little bit too much pressure on your shoulders, you can bring the arms behind you so that the hands are down towards the feet, and just let the shoulders hang round. Just a couple more breaths here. And this is going to be our sort of base pose, our starting pose for a lot of the other positions and asanas that we're going to do today, because we're not going to be doing the downward dogs. On your next inhale, start to bring yourself up. Back onto all fours. And you're going to bring your right foot between the hands at the front. So it doesn't matter how you get there really. And if it doesn't quite go where you want it, you can absolutely just lift. It moves very easily once you've got it forward slightly. Keeping the fingertips on the floor. We're just going to go into a low lunge. So find your balance, really pushing down into the ground with the back, shin and top of the foot. And making sure that the whole foot is on the floor, so you're pushing down through the big toe, the little toe, and both sides of the heel. And on your next inhale, we're going to rise and bring the hands to the hips. Now, if you're okay to bring your arms up, if you don't suffer with high blood pressure, you can bring your arms up above. But if blood pressure is an issue for you, then just keep them at the hips, or you can bring them to cactus like we did at the start, okay? And let your hips be really heavy here. Just be very careful that you don't let the back over arch, so we're not trying to get a really big arch here. You want to tuck the tailbone very slightly here. And just keep an eye on that front knee, that it's not going in front of your ankle. And just find your position. If you have any discomfort through your knee on the back there, then just pop, either fold your mat up, or you can pop a thinner cushion maybe, or a folded blanket under there. Well done. On your next exhale, bring the hands back down. And we're going to push back into a hamstring stretch. Now we're keeping the chest lifted here, we're not flopping over. And we're trying to keep our hips balanced, so we don't want to twist the hips too much. So keep the fingers engaged with the floor. You might just walk them back a little bit more. And as you inhale, flex the front toes, lift the chest. And as you exhale, just try and sit back a little bit further. Still keeping that chest lifted, but just angling forwards a little bit more. As you inhale, we're going to push forward, lift the chest. Remember, you can keep repositioning, it's fine. And as you exhale, pushing back, flex the toes. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, flex the toes. And you can absolutely keep this leg, straighter leg, front leg bent a little bit more if that's just unbearable for you. Just bend the knee a little bit more. And on your next inhale, push forwards. And you're going to sweep that foot back. And we're going to come back down into Balasana, child's pose. So toes together, knees open, and just sitting back on the heels. And just slow your breathing down. Breathing into the side ribs, the back ribs. Keeping it long and slow. Well done. On your next inhale, rising back up, we're going to bring that left foot through this time. Just position yourself so you can get your balance. A really good way to do that is just come up onto your fingertips first of all before you completely let go. And then once you're feeling good, remember with the high blood pressure, just bring the hands to the hips. If that's not a concern for you, then you can bring the arms up or into cactus. You can even put them out to the side to help with balance if that's good for you. And remembering, we're pushing down through all four edges of the foot, in through the shin and the back, the top of the back foot as well. And just keeping an eye that that front knee doesn't go in front of the ankle. And also just making sure we don't overarch. So if you do this, you can really overarch. So we want to keep that tailbone tucked And we keep that nice long spine. And remember, readjust. Well done. One more breath here. Keep engaging through the thighs. On your next exhale, bring the fingertips to the floor. As you inhale, lift the chest. And as you exhale, push back, straighten that front leg. Just making sure you're not shifting your weight too far over. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, pushing back. Remember to flex that front foot. And you don't want to let the body flop over here. We're keeping the spine nice and strong. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, push back. One more. Inhale. And exhale back. Remember, you can keep that knee bent, that's not a problem. And on your next inhale, push forwards, plant the hand, and bring that foot back into Balasana, toes together, knees open. And just take a few breaths to steady your breathing. Keeping it long and slow. On your next inhale, start to rise up again. Into that tabletop position. And we're going to step the right foot forwards again. This time we're going to step it to the outside of the right foot. So we're just going to open up through the hips a little bit. So you can either stay with your toes pointing forwards and just let your knee sort of just relax that right leg out a little bit. To make it a little bit stronger, you can turn those right toes out to the right a little bit more, and that just gives you a little bit more movement to open the knee. But it doesn't matter even if you keep that foot firmly planted on the floor, it's still going to give you a really good stretch through the hip. So just choose your variation here. And once you've chosen there, let your hips be heavy. So you're letting the hips hang and using the arms to support you. Now as you progress through this, you'll be able to start to bring your elbows down or walk your hands a bit further forwards. But just keep them beneath the shoulders for now and just focusing on that opening up of the hip. If it's too strong, just bring that knee back in. Alright, so I'm just going to turn the other way just so you can see that action of the knee turning out to the side. So you can see it's called a lizard pose. So we're just letting the knee hang out. But even if you've got your foot planted on the floor, you can still let the knee drop out slightly, okay? But if you turn your toes out, you can let it hang a little bit more, okay? Alright, one more breath here. On your next inhale, bring the knee back in and exhale back. We're going to go straight onto the other side this time. So, bringing that foot out to the left. Remember, you can turn the toes out to the left a little bit more to increase the stretch through the hip. And you might want to walk your knee back or your hands forward slightly just to increase the space there. You just need to play around with it and find that kind of sweet spot where it's challenging, you can feel the stretch quite strongly, but it shouldn't be painful or unbearable. So again, choose your foot position and then let the knee hang out. Using the arms to support the upper body. So that's really there just to help you control the intensity of the stretch. The lower you go, the stronger it's going to be. Keep the breathing slow. If you find it really challenging, you can come up a little bit more, or again, bring that foot a little bit further in. One more breath here. On your next inhale, bring the knees center, and as you exhale, come back into Balasana, child's pose again, our holding pose. Just calm your breathing. Well done. Inhale back up to tabletop. This time we're going to go into pigeon pose. So this is quite a strong pose, but you've got really good ways of controlling the intensity. So don't worry too much if it's too strong. You can ease off a little bit. So instead of bringing the foot up, we're just going to bring the right knee towards the right wrist, and then the right foot will be over towards the left hand. Now, if you're like me, I can't get that lower part of my leg directly across the mat with my foot behind my left wrist, but that's okay. Don't worry if it is on an angle, it's not a huge problem. And you just want to make sure you keep your hip up, that you don't let that hip and the bottom fall down towards the ground. First of all, we're going to inhale, lift the chest, just starting to feel the stretch through the outside of the hip and the bottom, and even the thigh. And then as you exhale, start to lower down. So you might go onto your forearms. If you're feeling quite comfortable there, you might even rest down your head onto your hands. As I said, it's quite intense, and you might find that you can't stay in that lower position, or you might not have got down there anyway, and that's absolutely fine. This is your practice. It doesn't matter where you are. It's about you challenging yourself, not about comparing yourself to me or anybody else. So just find where is good for you. You might even find that you have to stay up, and you might just start to bend your elbows. That's a small progression before coming down onto the elbows. Okay. 2 more breaths here. Last one. Well done. Inhale, start to come up. Just come up onto those back toes so that you can bring the knee back out. And we're going to go straight over onto the left side. So bring that left knee to the left wrist. And just bring that foot round as far as is comfortable. Don't force it. And then slide the right foot out behind you. Inhale, lift the chest, shoulders squeezing back. And as you exhale, you might just start to bend the elbows. You might bring the elbows down to the floor. Or if that's still feeling okay for you, remember, you can come down and rest the head onto the hands. So remember, if that's too much, just come back up, do what you can. You're going to build that length of time up each time you practice. The more you practice, the better you're going to get. Some days will be better than others. One more breath. And as you exhale, just bring foot back into Balasana, child's pose. Just for a short breath here. We're going to to start to come up off the mat a little bit more now. So back up onto all fours. We're going to step that right foot through. And we're going to bring that back knee up this time off of the floor, and then we're going to plant the foot on the floor. So you can either have your foot directly in line with the edge of your mat, or you can have it on about a 45-degree angle with the toes pointing towards the front of your mat. You choose whatever feels more comfortable for you and your knee. Front foot is facing forwards. We're going to come up into Warrior One first, which is quite an unusual one because your body wants to go a slightly different direction to how we're going to do. So just come up into your fingertips slightly and just check for your balance. You really need to be engaged through the thighs here, through the glutes, the abdominals. Keep those legs engaged. On your next inhale, we're going to lift and bring the hands to the hips, keeping that front knee bent. Now again, if you don't have issues with your blood pressure, you can bring the arms up or to cactus. Just be mindful here again, like we were in our low lunge, not to overarch the back. So just keep that tailbone tucked slightly, just to keep that nice long spine. We're still thinking about the back of our necks as well. And another little tip here is that you want to push down through the outside of that back foot. It shouldn't be peeling up. It should be pushing down through the whole foot, front and back. Okay. And whenever we're in Warrior, you should be able to see your big toe. So I'm going to shorten my stance a little bit, so I can go a little bit deeper, but you can see that my knee's still behind, or at least in line with my ankle. You're going to probably start to feel the burn a little bit here now. On your next inhale, we're going to turn to the side into Warrior. So I'm just going to turn around so that I'm facing you. You might take your feet slightly further apart for Warrior Two. And the arms are going to come out to the side. They're in line. So they're in line with the body, not sort of angled. And we keep squatting down, bending, lunging through that front thigh. But please make sure that you can see your big toe on the inside of your knee. If you can see your whole foot on the outside of your knee, your outer thigh, you're letting your leg dip in. So we don't want the knee to be doing this. It needs to be in line. Also, we don't want it to be going out that way. But if you keep all of your toes planted on the floor, that's going to help you. And keep pushing down through the back edge of that foot. Try not to lean here. We're keeping nice and long through the spine. Inhale, arching backwards. And then exhale back. And we're going to cycle down to the floor. Step the right foot back, down into Balasana, and rest. 4 breaths here in your own time, and then we're going to change sides. Well done. Inhale up. Bring that left foot forwards, picking up the back knee. Plant the back foot so the heel comes down, and we're going to come up into Warrior One. Remember, don't let that back over arch. Keep the tailbone tucked just slightly, nice and long through the spine, keeping that chin tucked just very slightly again. Making sure you can see the big toe on the inside of your knee. And just choose your arm position. Either to the hips, you can raise them up, or come to cactus. Keep pushing through the edge of that back foot. Don't let the knee drop down. Keep the leg strong. I always forget to do that. It's always good just to remind yourself, have a little check-in. How am I looking? And then you're going to inhale, in, exhale, into warrior two. Again, I'll just turn around. Making sure that front knee is over the ankle. We can see the big toe on the inside of the knee. Arms are strong, shoulder height. We're not leaning forwards, backwards, anywhere. So warrior two is a really strong pose, but we tend to really tense up because we're trying to hold everything here. It's a full body workout. You want to try and relax into it, even though it's strong. Try not to shrug those shoulders up, keep the shoulders down. Lengthen through the neck, that's going to prevent the tension there. Really engage the legs here. It's almost like you're trying to squeeze your inner thighs together, or you're trying to bring your feet together along the mat, slide them. But relax into it at the same time. I know it's easier said than done. Inhale back. And exhale, windmill down to the floor. Step the foot back into Balasana. Well done, you've done great. Just 4 breaths here. Steady your breathing. Slow it down. On your next inhale, push yourself up to seated, and you're just going to roll down onto your bottom, and we're going to come down onto the floor. You're nearly done, I promise. Now, we're going to do a little bit of mobilization. This is quite tough, so don't worry if you can't do it the first time. It takes quite a lot of core strength. So we're going to keep the feet on the floor. We're going to lengthen through the spine, so we don't want any of this arched, hunched shoulder business. We want to sit up nice and tall. Shoulders are back and down. Now you keep your hands just on the outside of your legs. And then we're going to start to curve the spine. So we're not just hunching, we're actually consciously, mindfully curving the spine. And we're going to start to roll down onto the mat, vertebrae by vertebrae. So this is like the reverse of rolling up to standing when you're in a forward fold. Keep that chin tucked just until the last moment you bring it down. Excellent, well done. Bring the heels towards the bottom. You're going to bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall out to the side. Now if that's really uncomfortable, you can pop a couple of cushions either side just for a bit of support. But if it's feeling pretty good, you can just relax here. You can add a little bit more pressure if you want to by resting the hands on the inner thigh. Not tensing up through the shoulders in order to do that. You want to keep the shoulder blades on the floor. And just start to focus on your breathing again. So remember the count that you did at the start of the practice today. You may have been doing 3 in, 3 out, 4 in, 4 out, maybe 5 in, 5 out. This time, see if you can lengthen the exhale. So that longer exhale really encourages the body to relax. It sparks our parasympathetic response, which is our ability to just rest. It's a really good way to combat anxiety, stress. So you might be breathing in for 3, and see if you can breathe out for 4. You might start to try and practice what we call Ujjayi breath, which is where we make kind of like a sound in the back of our throats, so where our nose and our throat join, so you can actually hear the breathing breathing. You know, you might feel a little bit silly, but it's a really good way to control the speed of your breath. It's almost like you're humming, but without the hum. So you might be able to hear. So as I'm breathing in, so you'll hear like it's like the sound of the ocean almost in your ears. And just challenge yourself. So if you're breathing in for 3, try and breathe out for 4. If you're breathing in for 4, try and breathe out for 5. And eventually you'll keep progressing until you can breathe out for 7. And just make sure you're focusing on where your breath is, where that energy is flowing. Make sure you're using your tummy as well as your chest, using your side ribs, expanding out, filling the lungs to their maximum capacity. And exhaling fully. Use the abdominal muscles and the muscles between the ribs to contract and push out the air. Well done. One more deep breath here. And out. You really struggle with that Ujjayi breath. You could actually just hum on the way out. If no one else is around, it's actually a really good way. You'll find you can breathe out for way longer when you hum than when you're just breathing like normal. Well done. Okay, bring the knees back together. If you need to give them a little bit of support doing that, you can. Give your knees a nice hug into the chest, pushing the lower back into the floor. You might rock side to side for a little massage on your lower back. We're just going to finish with a really nice spinal twist. Really, really great for the internal organs and just releasing any tension through the back. So you're going to bring your knees above your hips and your feet are going to be in line with your knees. The arms are going to go out to the side, in line with the shoulders. Inhale, and as you exhale, drop the knees to the right. Now you might find they come all the way down to the floor. You might find that they're midway. That's fine. The main thing here is that you're keeping both shoulders on the floor. You don't want that left shoulder to be peeling up, so you need to really ground the shoulders before you let the knees come to the floor. Again, don't worry if the knees are up here. That's absolutely fine. If you want to bring the feet to the floor, you absolutely can, and that just takes a little bit of pressure off of the lower back. So just see how you go here. If you want to increase this a little bit, you're going to turn the head to the left, but just see how that feels for your neck. It might not work for you, so you can just keep the head neutral. On your next inhale, contract the core muscles, bring the knees back to center. And as you exhale, drop the knees to the left. And again, remember you can bring the feet to the floor to take the pressure off slightly, but just find that sweet spot. Keep that shoulder firmly planted into the floor. And if you want to, you can turn the head, looking to the right. Well done. On your next inhale, come back to center, give those knees one more hug in. And then you're going to extend the legs out for Shavasana, most important part of your yoga practice. Relaxing at the end just allows your body to adjust to all the asana or poses that you've just put it through, the changes. It'll help release any tension that you're holding onto. So just let your feet fall out to the side. Might bring the heels up towards the edge of your mat. Walk the shoulders down so that the shoulder blades, so that they are underneath you. So your shoulders aren't shrugged up, they need to be down. away from the ears. And then let the hands just come slightly away from the body, palms facing up. When you're ready, close your eyes. Start to focus on the journey of your breathing again. Just notice if you're holding on to any tension anywhere in your body and give it permission to relax. You don't need to hold on to any tension now. Just let that tension go. Give it permission to leave the body. Sometimes during Shavasana or meditation relaxation, it's really helpful to have a focal point if you struggle with this, like I do. So you might concentrate on the process of your breathing. If you can sense your heartbeat, you might focus on the sound of your heartbeat. You might focus on the colour behind your eyelids with the light shining through. You might have a word like calm, relaxed, strength. And every time a thought pops up, don't ignore it. Acknowledge that thought is there. But don't engage, and just come back to your focal point. So meditation isn't necessarily being able to hold your attention for that long period of time. It's about being able to draw your attention back from distractions. It takes a lot of practice. So every time your mind wanders, just come back to your focal point. And just be. You're going to start to make some small movements through your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, you're going to turn onto your right side and just rest in fetal position, letting the head rest on the arm, bring the knees in. Keep your eyes closed. And when you're ready, gently push up into a cross-leg position, into our easy pose. Gently open your eyes. Just take a moment to notice how you feel. You're going to bring the hands to heart center, connecting the thumbs to the chest. We're going to take a deep breath in, and then we're going to exhale through the mouth this time rather than through the nose. Breathing in deeply, and out through the mouth. Just releasing any toxins we're holding onto in our lungs. Take a bath. Namaste. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that. When you're doing Shavasana, because I know there's cold over there at the moment, you might want to just pop a blanket over you, pop some socks on, a little jacket, because it's really important that you're nice and warm and comfortable. Do whatever makes you feel more comfortable. You can put a blanket or cushion under your knees so that it takes a little bit of pressure off your lower back as well. So just play around a little bit and make the most of being able to just be still for a moment and enjoy. Love you all loads. Have a great day.